Maxwell, iconic emo pop punk bands don't come much bigger than Basement.
They are some of the big names, Sam.
Are they pluralized?
Yeah. Well, they're a group. They're a band.
They are, yeah, true. But we were joined by Andrew, the lead singer, just before Wired, their new album, dropped. It was a really good chat. He tuned in all the way over from London. It was a bit of a late one for us.
Yeah, we were up. I'll tell you what, well past my bedtime.
Well past yours. I'm a night owl, you know, so I stayed up a little bit longer than
I'm more of a
that.
7-Eleven kind of guy, but that's okay.
7-Eleven?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
You're a
up at
night owl.
7.
No. Anyway, Sam, that's a joke for the Queensland audiences only.
Yeah, that's terrible. But look, we did chat to Andrew quite in depth about the new album, Wired. It is a departure from the classic Basement sound that people have come to love. It's obviously been something crazy like an 8-year break between songs for them. So he talked a lot about how he was feeling pre-release.
Pretty good, I imagine.
Shut up.
Up to him, though.
The nerves before the album came out and how they wanted to step away from the Basement sound, step away from Colour Me and Kindness, Promise Everything, which was actually really interesting.
And also, it was not too long after an album launch party in LA that literally tore some infrastructure apart. A very cool moment for them. So if you haven't seen those videos, this chat will make a lot more sense if you pause now, go watch it and come back.
Yep, the LA release show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Sam, you kick us off, so I'll pass over to you.
Maxwell, I'm not wasting any time on this intro because we are joined on the line all the way from the UK, fresh off a flight. Andrew from Basement. Mate, welcome to the show.
Hey, hi guys. Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. We've got a lot to talk about with Wired, the brand new album, but we start the show the same way every week, and that's just to get an idea of what you're spinning in your playlist lately.
Oh, I mean, I have to look at my phone in order to answer that question because if anyone ever asks me it, I just draw a complete blank of what I'm doing. But I've just been on tour, and it's like all of like the things in the van that you like think of in the moment, and then you look up, and it's like that's not. I'm not sharing that. And then it's all Basement songs that I'm like making sure I've got lyrics right and where I've come in at the right time.
He's a fan of his own work.
No, please don't paint me like that. There's been a few things that we've been asked to do recently, and like curate playlists or like pick albums from stuff. So that there's going to be a little bit of cross contamination, but I'm happy with this because these are things I sat down and took a long time to look at. So I've got down The Cure, I've got down Poison Idea, I've got Placebo, I've got a band from London called My Vitriol, from like maybe, oh God, we're pushing on 20 years now. I've got Suede, but like, yeah, do you guys know My Vitriol?
I've never heard of them, to be perfectly honest.
Neither.
Matt, dude, so good. The record is. I'm just playing music at you now. Sorry. The record is called Fine Lines,
Fine
and
Lines.
it came out the sort of early 2000s ish, and I completely missed them. But like later on, like when you kind of go deep diving into like bands you like and bands that those bands liked and influences like that, and someone was just like, "Oh, I think you'd like My Vitriol," and I was like, "I don't know who they are," and they were like, "Oh, they're from England." Like it was an American band, I can't remember the name, and that was it. I went down that rabbit hole, and incredible music, alternative, like it's so hard to pigeonhole stuff, but like very rocky, huge guitars, like really cool, kind of creepy sometimes, like brooding, dark, awesome band, really cool.
I've just gone and saved that album, so I'm going to give it a listen. We'll let you know.
I want to know, just before we go too far off topic, I want to know, you don't have to tell us exactly who you were spinning in the van on tour, but give us some guidelines. Give us some,
Do you know what it was? It was all like mid, I don't know, when I say mid 2000s, what does that mean? I mean like late before we hit 2010. So like 2007 to 2009, like American like demo core, like bands that us as young people getting into hardcore were like obsessed with, and we had friends that would go over to like Sound and Fury or This Is Hardcore and buy shirts and bring them back. And we were all just reading off all of these bands, mainly from the East Coast, because we had this like big connection with bands from like PA and like the kind of tri-state area. And we were just like remembering things and picking up songs and just playing them and just so it was just like a playlist of stuff that we would listen to when we were like 17 to 8 to like 19 or whatever. But it's not stuff that I want to be like, this is my playlist, like to like show like how deep and like emotional I am, but it's because it's just like ignorant stuff from when I was like 17,
It
I
was the
think.
MySpace playlist.
Yes, exactly. It was literally songs that you want people to be like, oh, that guy's cool. It was like all of that.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Look, we at time of recording, we are a couple days ahead of the release of Wired, but when listeners are hearing this, the album's already out. So, our listeners will probably have already heard it, and if they haven't, they're about to do so. But as we sit in this kind of unique spot just before it drops, we wanted to ask you, like, how are you feeling? We're on the eve of the release. How are you feeling about it, before it hits the public?
Like I've been like through so many sort of like states of mind leading up to this point. Right now, I like a little bit kind of fuzzy with the jet lag and stuff, but feeling pretty calm and just hopeful and like grateful and excited. Um, Especially just coming off the back of playing that like crazy show in LA and having played songs live for the first time, and people were just super into it. People had picked up the record that day, and I noticed that they'd gone home and listened to it, and then they were able to sing back some of the lyrics to songs that we hadn't even played. So they'd literally gone home, listened to it, learnt words, and were singing it back. So like we are just so happy and excited. So like that's my main mindset right now.
That's a pretty good mindset to be in, all things
Yeah.
considering. um, you mentioned the LA show. We were going to bring that up later in the show, but I saw the footage today. It looked
Mm.
insane. Bodies flying everywhere, fences falling over. Like, what was that like?
It was absolutely incredible. Like we knew we wanted to do something special. We wanted to do, ideally we would have loved to have done something on the West Coast, something on the East Coast. Just timings and stuff just didn't work out. And logistically doing stuff in New York is way harder than doing it in LA. Plus we have this weird connection with LA, like in the sense that we've always felt incredibly welcomed and supported there. Turns out we've recorded 3 albums there. Alex, who plays guitar in the band, has lived there for several years as well. So we've got our own little kind of community outside of the wider music community in there. So we had loads of friends just pull their socks up and just get everything sorted on like a ground level. Like all of it was organized by us and our friends. Um, and we just wanted to do something interesting. Like we were trying to find a venue, and then someone was like, "Well, there's this new venue, but like, should we do it in the car park?" We're like, "Yeah, that's great. Like, let's not do pre-sale. Let's just do walk up. Like, I want it to be affordable. I want it to be like a thing, like a celebration."
Yeah.
And yeah, it was like it. We were so nervous. I haven't been nervous for a show in years, and we were really nervous. There was like t two of us were like super ill beforehand. Like one, my brother was out for 48 hours with either like a bug or a virus or something. Duncan was out
Fuck.
for like almost a day the day before. Like practice was like cut half. Like so I was like super nervous, but like everything came together and like just everyone had been thinking about so many cool things to the point where I was like looking at what was going on with the band that played before us, just being like, yeah, this looks awesome. I'm so excited. And it was incredible, man. Like it was honestly like so special. You got access to the roof, so we were just kind of like watching everything from the roof as it was happening and people were coming in. And we tried to keep it, we tried to push doors as late as possible because the line was kind of crazy. And we just wanted to make sure like everyone that could get in did get in. But then at the
Yeah.
end, I don't know if I won't say who, but somebody just opened the gate and just like everybody rushed in for like the last few songs, which is awesome. Like I'm really glad that as many people could see it as did. So yeah, it was really cool.
It looked mental. It looked so much fun.
What an awesome way to launch an album. Like one of those shows that people in years to come will be like, were you there for the Basement LA show with the fence and everything? Like that's
That's
so
that's
sick.
the that's the kind of thing you kind of dream of like creating. So like if that happens, that would be amazing. But I mean, we always kind of laugh and joke about how like people like high up in music industry positions like try and create these like moments, these like viral moments and stuff. And like without even trying, someone who is a fan of our band did that for us immediately afterwards by like filming the line and then filming the show and then filming people rushing the gate and all of this stuff. And
Yeah.
I was like, people would pay like thousands for that, and this someone just did it because they love the band, and I was just like, thank you so much, like because it's like that's blown up, and it's such, and we were all watching it like this is incredible, like you couldn't script this, and someone was just filming it, documenting it because they thought it was cool, and like, yeah, it was. I'm gonna be thinking about it and appreciating it for a long, long time.
Oh, 100%. But I suppose let's dive into the album a little bit. Let's talk Wired because I think Sam and I were talking about how this album is absolutely a statement, lyrically, sonically, it's a big swing, a new era for basement. I suppose when you sat down to start thinking about, the collection of songs that were going to end up on this record, what was kind of the central theme? What attracted you to the sounds that ended up being, this particular cut, for the disc?
So we had like almost 50 demos that we were in a place where they were either songs or could very much become full songs. And we were really struggling about how to kind of bring that down to maybe 20 and then 15 and take them to the studio. And Alex was just kind of noticing a few things and kind of putting things into kind of pockets and trying to label them as loosely as possible, but in a way that kind of made sense. And he found just there's like a thread of jaggedness, like stuff that's nothing too polished that is kind of throughout the record, and I think each song has elements of that throughout it, and I think that was something that we all sort of gravitated towards. And then I think there's also like Alex picked up on songs that had more of a sort of organically like British feel to it, which is interesting because we've always lent more so towards more of an American style of alternative music because, that's what we were massively into growing up. Like My Vitriol, for example, don't sound like a British band, but they are British. Like it's that sort of like kind of post-hardcore American thing that we were always like very, very focused on. Whereas like through feeling more comfortable and confident, we've just kind of naturally sounded slightly different. And I think we were kind of we wanted that. We wanted to feel a little bit different and feel excited and whatever that thing was. Alex described it as sort of a Britishness. And it's interesting because he comes at it from a different perspective because he has dual citizenship. His mum's American, so he has this whole American culture as well as his British culture. And I think he has an interesting way of kind of picking up on that sort of stuff and like
Yep.
feeling even maybe more connected to it than we do. And he feels more comfortable kind of like picking that out. Whereas maybe in the past I would feel a little bit like icky about it because it's like, I don't know, it's hard to kind of,
Yeah.
but it's so I think they're the two things. And then with that we kind of were like, okay, these are all the songs, and then they're the songs we took into the record.
It's interesting you mentioned the Britishness of it all as opposed to the American probably classic post-hardcore sound. I suppose to me, to my ears at least, like it sounds like you're sampling in a lot of genres that wouldn't necessarily have been in that basement sound previously. When you say the Britishness of it, is it British post-hardcore, British alternate rock, or is it British sounds you know at large from other genres that British bands have absolutely conquered as well?
I think it's like probably, and I'm like trying to imagine what Alex would say in this response because he was like like I said, it was like his ear and his like kind of um audio lens in which he kind of picked up on it, and I think it was more sort of like kind of like British alternative, like kind of I guess like 90s into 2000s, like guitar music, like just like, but like that felt British or sounded British. And I think I have just spent a lot of time trying to work on how I sing and where I feel comfortable singing. And then with that, I think comes a sort of relaxing of the palette. And then therefore I will sound like more comfortable and then I'll sound, I guess, more British because I have I have a British accent. So people
That's
have
like
commented on that before about and said like, I maybe I sound or sing in a certain way. And there's definitely a way that when you sing, it kind of becomes like a universal, almost like singing language because all the vowels get very like rounded. Like I don't have a strong accent, and I wouldn't necessarily think sing things in a very strong British accent. If I did, that would feel like it was like affected. It would feel like I was putting on a voice. Whereas when I'm singing, everything kind of rounded and it sounds like in the way that like an Irish singer sounds American when they sing because the Irish and the American accent is has the rounded vowel sound, that sort of thing.
We're not going to hear, Basement's take on Park Life. We're not going that British.
No, no.
On that British sound, it probably lends itself into our next question. And we've had the chance to chat to a number of bands now who are in a similar boat to you in having these kind of, I want to say like legacy albums. For Basement, obviously, Color Me and Kindness, sorry, was so big, and so many of your later releases were sort of evolutions of that, I guess, trademark Basement sound. When you approached Wired, did that trademark Basement sound play in your minds at all, or did you sort of feel a pressure to, appease these baked on Basement fans, or did you feel like, what, they've always got that album now, we can just do our own thing?
It's definitely there because it's like it's there in the sense that like when we did that, we weren't trying to do anything deliberately. We were very inspired by like the sort of post-hardcore stuff that we were talking about, like, Quicksand would be a band that I would pull out in a lot of the sort of like slower, chuggier stuff that we used to do. But like we were also massively influenced by our peers at the time. Like I think we were all kind of pulling from each other and challenging each other. So like it was like a scene and a thing that was happening without trying and then you start taking things like even more seriously and you have more time to put into it and then you really start thinking about how you want to sound and it sometimes gets really complicated. So because the year we were supposed to take off ended up being 4 years and then eventually flipping like almost 8 years with the times in between and stuff, we had a lot of time to really think about like what do we want to do. One thing we just didn't want to do like a Color Me Part Two. We didn't want to because we could have done, but like that wouldn't have been fulfilling. That's not what we wanted
Yeah.
to do. Like we after taking time off from being sort of like burnt out after the last record, we really wanted to sort of remind ourselves why we want to do this and why we choose to be a band and spend time with each other. And like the main part of that was to be creative and be inspired by each other. So like that was the main thing. So we had in the back of our mind what we kind of just didn't want to do. But at the same time, like it doesn't sound like Park Life. It sounds like Basement. There's distorted guitars. There are parts that are gonna you could maybe put on Colour Me and Kindness and it could fit in. But like overall, the approach is like way more dynamic. It's nowhere near as kind of compressed and kind of squashed. It's like all over the place. Like there's some super crazy cleans. There's some like really crunchy, weird stuff. Like there's like that's the thing that excites me, and that's very much John Congleton who produced it. Like his style is what we always wanted. We just never really had that person that could do that, and we never had our understanding of what we wanted as well. I think we had to go through several records to kind of really realize what we wanted to do, and luckily we got there. And John really just like made everything kind of shine.
I think to that point as well, it is interesting. I think for Basement fans who are listening that haven't heard the album, there is, on songs like Time Waster, that back end of the song is all that classic sort of Colour Me and Kindness, Promise Everything era. But then you guys experiment with synths and you go into that Brit rock.
Yeah.
Coming off the hiatus period, obviously, I get the vibe from the album that everyone's just matured and music taste has pivoted and you guys are just having fun. Is that kind of a fair assumption?
That like honestly is if if people could only pull that out of it, like that would make me so happy because like that was such a genuine thing we were trying to do. Like we wanted to just do what felt good and like was fun. Like we did some sessions in Brighton with our friend Theo, and like he was like, "How are we going to approach this?" And I literally said, "Oh, Alex is trying to write stuff that he finds fun," and he was like,
Yeah.
"That's the goal of the session. Let's just have fun. Let's just do what we can do to have fun," and that was like I think you can feel that in this because it deals with like sadness. Like I'm never gonna not like sing about sad things and stuff and like and it's we tend to write in minor keys, but like it feels fun, and I think like energy and fun kind of go together with it. And so like I'm really really glad. That's really cool that you picked up on that because that's definitely was a major intention.
100%. Yeah, it comes across clear as day.
Awesome.
The Speaking of sort of how you're writing, for an audience, for the basement audience, but for an audience broadly, songwriters are always striving to hit that kind of beautiful sweet spot between the specificity of the experiences, the events that they're drawing on as inspiration, but also, a widely accessible, interpretive space as a songwriter, where audiences who haven't been in those events, haven't had those experiences, can still relate to a song. I suppose when you're sitting down to, doing 50 demos, how are you kind of figuring out where that line is, between too detailed, too personal, and just sort of fluff that is, doesn't necessarily draw from your experience as a songwriter?
It's hard. It's really hard. And like there was times when I would try and sit down to stuff, to write stuff, and I would convince myself so I was unable to do it. And you have to kind of push through those moments and kind of maybe write something that isn't very good to be like, okay, fine, that's not it, and move on to something else. But interestingly, like I think something that I've been, and this might not answer your question, but it's made me think about like how I want to answer it is that during this round of press, when people have been asking about things to do with lyrical content and like kind of subject matter, I've really kind of turned the question back and asked them what they think it is, and then kind of responded to that because I've realized it is really important to me that I don't want to be too specific and talk about lyrical content and themes and stuff because I really value the more openness, the ability for people to interpret and then therefore hopefully connect with what is being sung. Because as a listener, that's my that's the main joy that I get from music is maybe I'm completely wrong, but thinking in my head, I think this person is singing about this subject and I can relate to that because I've been through that and therefore this song is now my favorite song. And like I'm not necessarily trying to do that when I'm writing because ultimately I'm just kind of processing my feelings and trying to articulate them. But it's like trying to do that in a way that doesn't, like you said, like doesn't pinpoint it like really obviously and it isn't too ambiguous. But at the same time, they're not kind of directing people to what it is because what I really don't want to do is to get in the way of that connection. And I fear that if I'm too explicit in explaining, certainly after the fact, I worry that that might get in the way and take away from someone if they've already kind of built a connection with the song.
Before we wrap up, obviously we need to talk some live music. You were here in January on an absolutely huge show lineup with Turnstile. Obviously, post hiatus, the crowd vibes were doing massive. I suppose first question, a two-parter: how did it feel? And secondly, can we be greedy and ask if there's going to be a basement show in Australia anytime soon? So
Um,
soon after the last.
we firstly, it felt amazing. We Australia has always been so good to us. Like when I tell people how many times we've been out, like people can't believe. I can't believe it. Like I mean, I'm so grateful for that. Like really don't think if I wasn't in basement, I would ever have the opportunity to. So the fact that I get to do that and like perform music in front of people is like still doesn't really connect in my brain. So like that's amazing. Um, those shows were incredible. Turnstile are leading this charge of alternative music right now, and like kind of changing the world, and it's really flipping. I don't know if I can swear, but so I said
Absolutely.
flipping.
Absolutely.
It's really cool, really fucking awesome because it just is inspiring and like and you can see that it's inspiring people and it's making people start bands and do stuff and it's so cool and we haven't got anything booked, but we will 100% be back because we love it and the sooner the better.
Love it. Well, if you are listening, make sure to go and stream Wired Basement's new full length album. They're back, they're touring, they've got new music out. Get around them. Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time to have a chat.
Thanks, guys.